Good morning YouTube and keen E36 owners. I'm sure most of you are, most of my subs anyway. I bought another E36. This one has been off the road for 9 years. You can check the reg if you don't believe me. 9 years, it's not seen a roll. 8.5, 9 years, something like that. No idea why I bought it. No, I do know why I bought it. Essentially, it's probably a parts car. It's a convertible. It's going to be full of water. I think the rear brake lines are shot, and yeah, it's been off the road for a long time. So how did I end up with this car? Well, a friend of a friend put me in touch, so shout out to him. I did actually try to buy the car 3 or 4 years ago as a project, parts car, whatever, with no such luck. But yeah, a friend of a friend put me in touch with it. I went to have a look at it, and did a deal with the owner, so thank you to him. Realistically, it's got too much rot to warrant going back on the road, but it's going to be pillaged for all of its parts and stuff, mainly because we need some bits for the coupes. We need heat shields, we need little trinklets, fixing, stuff like that. So this is, although the chassis is not that clean, it's unmolested. It's got all of its bits and pieces on it, so that's going to be really useful. One, to save a few quid for bits on the coupe, but also it's just some of these bits are quite hard to get now. So yeah, it's going to come in handy. But what I figured I'd do is we'll bring this thing back to life. It's a 323 manual, so as I say, pretty unmolested. It's got orange brake calipers, but that's about it. Sport rear lights. But yeah, I figured let's see if we can get this thing to run. I cheated slightly. I basically bought the car without touching the engine, and then before I got it picked up, I did strip the front end apart slightly, and I just wiggled the crank nut or bolt with a bar just to see if it moved. So, well, it's not seized. It moved about, I don't know, not even a centimetre, and I was like, great, I know the engine's not seized, so it's worth trying to get it running. The obviously the battery's dead, the fuel pump's dead, and the key, the owner had lost the keys, but fortunately he was able, because he had the logbook, he was able to get a new key from the dealer. So for anyone who's trying to save one of these old cars, I don't know what I've done with the key, but basically £62, something like that. One of the local dealers in the UK was able to provide a new key which matches the locks and obviously has the immobiliser chip. So hopefully it will start on the button once we've addressed fuel and spark. What I do want to do, because it's been sat so long, is really I need to get some lube down into the bores, and then I need to crank it over a few times with no fuel going in there, because I want to lubricate those bores. We don't want to end up damaging the bores. It was probably a bit naughty of me turning it without lubricating it first, but it got the better of me. I wanted to know if it was seized or not, and I didn't expect it to move. So I've literally moved it a centimetre. I haven't, you know, it hasn't gone through a full rotation or anything like that. So we should be good. But yeah, I'm going to get some a mixture of ATF and a bit of diesel down each bore, and then yeah, just crank it a few times by hand, and hopefully that should lubricate the bores, and then we can address the lack of spark and lack of fuel. I've bought a Chinese eBay special fuel pump. They're about 40 quid. They usually seem okay. And then yeah, the battery, got the trusty Noco to give it some juice, and yeah, hopefully she'll go again. So the interior is pretty bad. You can see the damp's got in there. It's a shame because it's quite a nice interior, black dash, black armrest, sport seats, but yeah, the seats are absolutely shot. It doesn't smell that bad considering it's been off the road for 9 years, but yeah, it smells pretty bad. Well, it doesn't smell good, put it that way. You can see the mold everywhere. But yeah, spec wise it's pretty good. It's got digital climate control, aircon, 18 button OBC, sport steering wheel, sport interior. The roof was replaced just before the car came off the road, so it's actually got quite a good roof, and it's got white stitching, which is pretty cool. It needs a bloody good clean, but I think the roof is good, and it's a fully manual roof. So as a parts car goes, it's quite a good parts donor, hence why I was happy to sort of take it on. There's a few of these cars kicking around. You can buy like 318s and stuff like that, but they're not worth the time to pull apart, you know, to try and break, unless you desperately need something off them. This one I need heat shields and bits on the underside, because obviously the coupe, everything was shot on that. But we can recuperate some of our investment from selling the engine, the gearbox, the rear end, the roof, stuff like that. So yeah, we should be able to make a small profit on this as well, or really just cover my time to warrant breaking it. But yeah, let's get into it. So first things first, let's get some lube in the bores. Right, so we're prepared. We've got some diesel, brake cleaner, and some ATF. So I know the bonnet struts are buggered, so let's get ourselves a bit of timber. Bonnet strut, completed it. This looks like some sort of brake bleeding thing that was in here previously. I'm guessing he tried fixing the rear brakes or something like that. So we're going to use that. That is a brilliant tool for lubing the cylinders. So I'm going to give that a bit of a clean out because it looks a bit smeggy, hence the brake cleaner. So that's a job for a minute. But first things first, let's get the rocker cover gubbins off. Very dry. All we need is a tool, 10mm, and a little pick tool. So let's pick that one out. Nice. That one. Second one. When these have been sat, they're usually full of water and the bolts go rusty, but I'm guessing the previous owner spilt oil in them and it's sort of emulsified, but it's not the bolts rusting, which we like. So that's a bit of a winner. Number two. Right, then that cover should just pop off. Let's put the oil cap back on. And there we go, there's the plugs. So we want to quickly just pop all of these coil packs off. Right, and that's all of our coils free. So now we can pop off all of these 10mm nuts. That's the coils out. They all look actually really clean and good. Everything looks lovely and tidy in here, so we like that. Next up, we're going to take spark plugs out. No oil in the ball in the spark plug well, so I'm guessing the rocker cover has either been done or it's not leaking, which we like. But let's get these plugs out, see what they're looking like. I don't know, well, I haven't decided yet how I'm going to address the fuel tank issue, because obviously that fuel, 8 years old, is going to be pretty manky. So I need to obviously the fuel pump's dead. I've got a new fuel pump. I have got 5 litres, so I could run it off a jerry can. So we might do a temporary measure, because I don't really want to run the engine off the fuel that's in the car, because it's probably going to be varnished and not great. The only thing is, being 9 years old, it should be the older style fuel that's not quite as got as much ethanol in, which is a, you know, attracts water and all that crap. So it seems at the moment fuel pumps on so many of these E36s and stuff seem to die, so I guess it's just more and more cars are sitting around for longer. But yeah, we need to address that in a minute, but I figure let's get the engine turning and then we can address that. Plug number 1 looks okay actually. Denso, so they've been replaced. Probably not the right plugs for it, but yeah, they've been replaced, so we'll take that. Number 2, much the same. Number 3, much the same. Maybe a little tiny bit of corrosion on the tip there, so could be a sign of moisture in there. I mean, you'd expect some moisture after 9 years of being outside and not being run, so I'm expecting, or I'd expect more moisture than what I've seen, so I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. Not too fussed either way. If the engine's good, then obviously it can be sold as a complete running engine. If the engine's bad, then all of the bits that are bolted to it are worth so much these days, the engine arms, the cam, crank sensors, that I'm not bothered either way. So it would just be nice to save another engine if possible. If it was a 320, I wouldn't even bother. I'd just pull the bits off it. But as it's a 2.5, it's worth the time putting into it. That one's maybe a bit rich, a bit sooty, but we'll bear that in mind. Right, I've just spotted something interesting. So the rear two plugs, which are a bit more carboned up, are both NGK BK R6EK, which is the original plugs, the right plugs of the car. And then the front four, which look better, are these Denzos. So I'm guessing someone's replaced just 4 plugs. Either they've bought plugs for it thinking it's a 4-cylinder, or they just didn't have the tools to get to the back two because you need a slightly longer ratchet maybe. I mean, not really, but God knows. Anyway, that puts my mind at rest. So I'm guessing they're just older plugs. That's why they're a bit dirtier. So cool. Right. I think let's clean out our butt plug looking device and then get some lube in the bores. Clean. There we go, so that's a nice mixture of diesel and ATF. This will lube the cylinders up nicely. I'm not putting all of this in, just a little bit in each one, but that'll help pre-lube the cylinders and should eliminate any cylinder scoring. If it's already got horrendous rust ring, then it's buggered anyway, but you know, if the rings are good, this will help them come around quite nicely. There might be fancy products you can buy online that you're supposed to use, but I mean, ATF and diesel's cheap, so let's just go with that. So we'll just put a little bit down each bore, give that a good mix. So now let's get a big bar on it and start turning it over and see what it does. I think it's a 22mm socket, so let's go and grab that. Okay, back with the Stumpy 22mm. Nice. Probably want a ratchet bar, to be honest. That moves lovely, so happy with that. Let's go and get a ratchet. Obviously I'm turning this over that any plugs in there, so there's no resistance, no compression. That seems to turn over lovely, and there's no spots where it gets noticeably harder or seems to get hung up. So that hopefully tells me that the bores are good and there's no rust ring or anything like that. So yeah, that's a victory, I would say. If you had a borescope, then obviously now would be a good time to smash that down the bore and actually see what the bores look like, but I don't have that, so we're just going to assume it's good. So I think now I'll put the plugs back in and button this back up, and then we can see if we can get some spark. We'll try and run it on a bit of brake cleaner first of all. We'll take the fuel pump relay out, we'll see if it'll run on brake cleaner. Yeah, that's a good place to start. Oh, I knew that would happen. The little rubber thing keeps disappearing from my spark plug set. So it's stuck on that socket. How annoying. Sorry, it's stuck on that spark plug. Wonder if we can just do them out without that. I'll just drop them in the cylinder. Yep, that works. Alright, that's the plugs in. So I think now we can get the coil packs back into the car. Right, so that's back together. So now we know the fuel pump's dead, so we don't need to eliminate the fuel pump doing its thing. But we do want the do we want the injectors to fire? I'm thinking let's just chuck some brake cleaner down its neck. Actually, let's put power on it first and make sure nothing explodes. So we're going to put 12 volt to it. I don't know if there's a battery on it. It's probably battered anyway. But yeah, we will stick 12 volt to it. Right, well that's the battery on it. It hasn't caught fire, so let's go and give it a bit of ignition. Oh, the window dropped. Nice. Neutral, key in ignition. Oh, we have dash lights. No fuel pump, which is good. Let's give it a crank, shall we? Ooh. Okay, so we have starter working, which is good. Right, I now need to get some brake cleaner down it and see if it will fire. So I think we need to take the airbox off. Let's save our battery jumping activities. So let's go with, let's unplug the MAF. I don't know how well this will work, but 3 bars of juice left. Bit of brake cleaner, let's see if it fires. Oh, she has spark. Trust the old M52. Let's give it a bit more. Haha, magic. Quite smoky, as you'd expect. Haha. Right, I guess that's going to die in a second. There we go. Well, it's smoky, but that's exactly what you'd expect, because obviously there's diesel and ATF down the bores. But it actually runs. Amazing. These engines, honestly, so fucking good. Besides the overheating issues and oil leaks. Oh, well, that's good. Right, I think what I'm going to do now is to yeah, well, I call that a victory. I need to jerry rig it really so it can run off a fuel can. Yeah, I think, what's the best way of doing this? Well, I think when I had the ignition, I think it was like 1/4 of a tank worth of fuel. So I've got 2 options really. I put like 20 litres of fuel in it and dilute the crap that's in there, and hope that runs. But I need to have a look at the fuel really and see what it looks like. So I think let's get in the fuel tank and see what it looks like. If it looks not too bad, then we could probably get away with just diluting it. If it looks like it's turned to varnish and it stinks, which I'm expecting it to, then yeah, we're probably best off bypassing the tank altogether, because we don't really want to be dragging that shit through. But I'm proper stoked that runs. So this hopefully should be another engine that we can salvage, and we'll go and live another home in a E36, probably a coupe, a compact or something like that. But yeah, nice result. Parked up for 9 years and it just runs. So right, let's get this fuel pump stuff. So if you've not done this before, basically all E36 fuel pumps are behind the rear seat. Really don't want to be in here with all this mould, but you know, duty calls. So pop the rear bench up, which you basically just lift it aggressively. I think on the convertibles you have to remove that. Yeah, you do. There we go. Oh, fucking mould. Yuck. And then the fuel pump lives under there. So if you have ever played with an E36, you'll know that these fuel pumps can be an issue. Basically, you've got a single fuel pump on this side. So you've got this inspection cover. So let's pop that off the 4 fillet screws. And then on the other side, there's also an inspection cover. And what looks like another fuel pump, but it's not. It's a sender. It's like a sender unit. So both sides have a level sensor in, and the ECU takes an average from both sensors, and that's how it knows what the fuel level is. So if your fuel level is playing up, it can be either side. But the fuel pump is always on the driver's side. So if the fuel pump's dead, and you'll know the fuel pump's dead because when you flick the ignition, you should hear it go zzz as it's priming. Obviously this one isn't, so fully expecting it to be bad after 9 years, so it's no surprise that I'm in here having to change it out. But yeah, the good thing is no one's been in it. You can see this is all original. not been buggered with. So it's quite an honest car, to be honest. It's kind of a shame it got parked up because it didn't look that bad. But unfortunately 9 years outside in the UK, especially on a convertible, you know, the fabric roof is less than ideal. So unfortunately the best thing for it really is parts, as much as that's a shame. To restore this car, I mean, you could put it back on the road, but it's the rot that's in the chassis. It needs arches putting into it. The interior would need fully taken out. The roof is good, but I imagine the seals and stuff at the front of the roof are shot, standard convertible stuff, and I'm just not really interested in convertibles. I'd much rather put the parts to good use to save some more coupes. So unfortunately it's getting the chop. Well, I had to drop the camera because that back screw was a tight bastard, but that's our cover off. So we can just pull it out of the way, and then that's a fuel pump, so it looks pretty disgusting, but we've got the two plugs, so we'll pull them off. So that gets that out of the way. And then we've got this feed line, which this feeds the fuel to the car, so we need to cut this clip. For anyone who's never touched one of these cars before, if you're too aggressive with this, you'll actually snap the plastic off the pump. Doesn't really matter on this because the pump's dead in this, but just a word of advice, these can snap because obviously that plastic goes brittle. So you need to snip these. I'm gonna probably, yeah, I'm just gonna cut through them. If you start prying it with a screwdriver, you can snap the tab. Well, it doesn't matter actually because the thing's broken, I guess, but yeah, so let's get that off. So my usual method of attack to put these clips is put one of your pick tools in there, just hammer it through, and then you can just give it a little wiggle, and it should open that clip up. Just do it a bit gently, don't break the plastic. There we go, and then that's pretty much free. He says, oh come on. Much easier if I had a head cam. Doing this one-handed is less fun. There we go. Right, clip off. We won't reuse that. I normally just put a Jubilee clip on here because these are a pain in the backside, these clips. Right, clippage, be gone. So now we're going to need to get that off there. So we need a pry tool because that pipe will not move for love nor money. Probably overkill, but whatever. And then we'll just pry that up, he says. Ta-da! Right, so that's good. So now we need to knock this. Basically, this is like a locking collar. So you just chisel this anti-clockwise and it will come off. There's probably a proper BMW tool. Do I have it? No. Am I going to buy it? No. We are going to not even use a chisel. We're going to use this, definitely the wrong tool for the job, but nice. Right, so we just pop that off. That's the cover. And then the pump. Yep. Yep, that's bad. So you can see that I mean, if it's done that, the fuel has done that to the sender level thingy, this piece here, then of course what's it done to the insides of that pump? It's obviously hitting the wires, so yeah, that's all unfortunately fit for the bin. You probably could change the pump and rewire this if you really wanted, but the eBay ones are pretty cheap and cheerful. So let's grab a torch. Oh yeah, yep, pretty nice. Can we fish that out? Yes, we can. That's good. So this should be on the bottom of that pump. But what tends to happen as the fuel degrades, it will start to eat this as well, which you can see that's now degraded. So yeah, I'm glad we got that in one piece, because obviously that can break up and upset your pump, so that's not good. But yeah, that is good we got that out in one piece. So it's not completely turned to varnish. I mean, it doesn't look that good. There's a lot of crap in there, but I'm willing to take a chance and say with some fresh fuel we can probably dilute that and it'll probably run. Or the other option is we just run it off a jerry can, which I do have, I think 5 litres, so I've got 5 litres there of fresh fuel, so we can run that off the can. We just need some fuel hose and a joiner to feed the car. The only trouble is I then somehow need to get a pump into that, which probably isn't gonna work. So I think I'm gonna be a bit naughty. I think I'm gonna stick a new pump in the car and just cram that 5 litres straight into the tank, and then yeah, let it eat. I think it'll be okay. The fuel hasn't gone. I mean, there's a bit of crap in the bottom of the tank, but we're not going to run the car dry. So yeah, that's the verdict. And then the car should run off its own alternator and fuel pump, and then we can leave it idling for 20 minutes, half hour, and see if she's happy. So I think that's a good idea. Right, new pump time. China special. It's probably now broken because I've chucked it on the floor, but whatever. This bag is not a toy, just so you know. Good job they put that warning on there. A child could think this is a toy, and that's bad. Thank God for warnings, safety warnings, eh? Right. New Chinesium fuel pump. Looks good. Looks good. Let's get this straight in there, I reckon. Nice new filter. Cap on there. Straight in the hole, shall we? Actually no, we want to, before we put that in, we want to cram some new fuel straight in that bit. So let's do that. Right, we've smashed in a couple of litres of fresh fuel. So we're going to pop our new pumpage into the tank. Like so. I'm not going to worry about the seal and stuff because, you know, shit box in it, but we might benefit from putting a Jubilee clip on there, to be honest. So let's grab one. That is absolutely mental. This car's been sat 9 years and then it's running. You can see the battery's that bad on it. The I think as it's running off the alternator, the dash lights are flickering a bit, but yeah. So we've got a traction control light, ABS, and handbrake. I don't know what's going on with the handbrake, the button jammed in there. I think we might go for a little test drive around the yard now. Seems like a good time for it. So still smoking, but it's all that crap burning off from the exhaust. Right, I'm gonna have a quick tidy up, move the old 7 Series, and then we'll see if we can drive around the yard. Right, let's go give it a little drive. We're only going around the yard, but see what happens. Well, that was successful. So the ABS light's gone off. The throttle works. There's no brakes at all, only the handbrake. So there was a moment there where I was like, oh no, we're going to hit the 5 Series, because I forgot. But yeah, luckily the handbrake actually works on it. Yeah, so it's at there idling. Engine's a bit noisy, but yeah, it'll just be the lifters. They'll need some oil to work around the engine and rebleed themselves. It's a little bit smoky. I mean, it's cold today, so a lot of that's condensation. There's still a bit of blue smoke to it, but yeah, I'm guessing there's still some diesel and ATF sat in those bores, and I'm guessing the exhaust is full of crap. So yeah, I'm just going to let this tick over for 20 minutes or so, let the thermostat open, and then maybe in a few days we'll run it up again, let it get hot, and then give it a bit of limiter action once we check the oil condition and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd say that she's good engine at the moment, showing all the signs of wanting to live a second life. So hopefully speaking, that engine may be going into that saloon. So yeah, we'll see. But I need to put this through its paces and make sure it's all good before we jump the gun and say the engine's good. It definitely wants some more fresh fuel, because obviously that fuel is stale. But yeah, I say that's pretty productive. So if you're going to do something similar like this, just kind of follow the process I've done. Lube up the bores, make sure you've got a good fuel pump. I probably should have drained the fuel tank or used completely fresh fuel. It's a bit naughty of me to do the way I did, but it's not like it's a £5 engine that I'm particularly precious over. So you know, if it didn't work, it wasn't the end of the world. But that was a quick, easy way of chucking some fresh fuel in there, and it started and ran, which I'm dead happy with. So yeah, it's going to get broken, unfortunately. So if you do need any bits, then just drop me a message, comment below, or drop me a message on Instagram, as some of you guys have done. But yeah, hopefully that's useful. So if you're going to rejuvenate one of these, I'll admit this is pretty straightforward. There wasn't really that many issues we encountered, so it may not help you massively if you're sort of diagnosing a car that won't start or whatever, but that's a good way of how to tick one of these engines into life that's been sat a long time. And thankfully it's played ball, which is really good. So yeah, thank you for watching, and yeah, see you in another one. Peace.